Jealousy was never something I was proud of. But that night it didn't feel like jealousy. It felt like my gut trying to tell me that something was deeply wrong. Clara had been going out more often lately. Just work dinners, she'd say, tossing the excuse over her shoulder as she fixed her hair, her perfume lingering in the air like a warning. I wanted to trust her. I really did. For years I had been the calm, dependable husband, the one who didn't snoop through her messages, didn't question her late returns, didn't doubt her explanations. But lately the distance between us had grown into something wide and silent, something that felt big enough to hide secrets in. That evening she stood before the mirror, fastening the necklace I'd given her for our 3rd anniversary. It used to mean something. Now it just looked like a prop in a life that no longer included me. "Who's going to be there tonight?" I asked, trying to sound casual. She caught my eyes in the reflection and smirked. "What? Are you jealous again?" There was no teasing in her tone, just cold irritation. The kind of tone that tells you she's already decided you're the problem. "Clara," I said quietly, "I just asked." Her gaze hardened. "Then stop asking. If you're jealous, go home." The words hit me harder than she expected. I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I just picked up my jacket and keys and walked out. No slammed doors, no last words, just silence. But that silence was the start of something she never saw coming. I drove aimlessly through the city, past the noise and lights, until the roads thinned out and the night grew quiet. My hands gripped the steering wheel, not in anger but disbelief. How had we drifted so far? How had love turned into this quiet battle of pride and distance? Eventually, I pulled into a small diner on the outskirts of town, the kind of place where time seemed to stop and no one asked questions. I ordered coffee I didn't need and stared out the window, watching the rain smear across the glass. That's when it hit me. It wasn't jealousy that had been eating at me all this time. It was neglect. Somewhere between her endless work meetings and my silent patience, we had stopped being partners. She had started treating me like an obligation, and I had let her. Hours passed before I looked at my phone. 5 missed calls, all from her. When I finally returned home, the lights were off except for the dim glow from the living room. Clara was sitting on the couch, mascara streaked down her cheeks, eyes red. She looked up the moment I walked in. "You actually left?" she asked, voice trembling. "I did what you told me to," I said evenly. "You told me to go home." Her eyes flickered with confusion. "I did. Just not this one." For a moment neither of us spoke. The silence between us was heavier than any argument we'd ever had. For the first time she seemed to realize what my absence truly meant. It wasn't a tantrum, it was a mirror. The next morning she was still there, wrapped in a blanket like she was trying to protect herself from the truth. When I entered the room she looked up, a mix of anger and hurt on her face. "You really just walked out?" she asked. "Did none of this mean anything to you?" I took a slow breath and set my bag down. "Clara, for months I've been the only one trying. I tried to talk, to connect, but you kept shutting me out. So when you told me to go home, I realized I already wasn't home anymore." Her eyes filled with tears. "I didn't mean it," she whispered. "I know," I said quietly. "But sometimes the things we don't mean say the most." For a while we sat there in silence, surrounded by all the things we hadn't said for months. Finally she murmured, "I saw your side of the bed empty last night. It felt wrong." I nodded slowly. That's what it's felt like for a long time. Something in her broke then, not out of guilt but understanding. She had pushed and pushed, believing I'd always stay, that I'd always been just to keep the peace. But that night I didn't. I chose myself. When I walked to the door she stood up. "Where are you going?" "Home," I said. "To the version of me that stopped begging to be loved." She didn't stop me this time. Didn't say anything clever or cruel. Just stood there in the quiet, finally realizing what it meant when love gives up trying. Because sometimes it's not the yelling or the fights that end a marriage. It's the moment one person decides they've already been gone for a long time.